Hello, I'm Graham Elwood. You're watching The Political Vigilante. So one of the things I've said to you guys is I will always be honest with you, even if I get it wrong. I did a video a couple months ago about how Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, is this great guy. Wow, I read this article. Look, he's doing the thing. He does yoga. He's very inclusive and all this stuff. And many of you that are Canadian are like, whoa, 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 Graham, hold on. He's kind of Obama-esque in that he does these, inclusion measures, but he's horrible for the environment. There's an article here, Stop Swooning Over Justin Trudeau. The man is a disaster for the planet. Bill McKibben wrote this in theguardian.com. I'll put the link below. And man, I was wrong. I didn't know much about him when I did that first article. Now I'm doing a little more thanks to many of you and just doing more research. And that's what I swear to you guys. I will always be honest. And if I get something wrong, I was wrong the first time. I was flat out wrong. So what this article goes into is how Justin Trudeau, he's a good looking guy. Like Trump is just a disaster to look at. He's repulsive, he's ugly, he's fucking says horrible things, he's, all of it. I'm gonna grab your pussy, his whole cabinet is all of it. He's awful. And Justin Trudeau is a good looking guy. And to give him, you got to give him some, credit where credit is due. He has been very inclusive of like refugees, and that's, that's important, and that is better than what Trump is doing. Trump likes creating refugees, but he doesn't want to help them. But when it comes to the environment, which as this author, and I would agree, says is the most important issue of our time, he does that thing that I'm really sick of from the left. Talking that, we got to protect the environment, and then going the other way how he actually votes. I'm so sick of that. And if this guy's doing it up north, it's going to affect all of us. So here's what happened. So it was Canadian diplomats and the country's environmental minister, Catherine McKenna, who pushed at the Paris climate talks for a tougher than expected goal, holding the planet's rise in temperature to 1.5 Celsius or 2.7 Fahrenheit. Okay, that's important. That's an important number because they were pushing for that, right? That's what they're pushing for. Now let's see how they're going to actually achieve that. Those words are meaningless if you keep digging up more carbon and selling it to people to burn, and that's exactly what Trudeau is doing. He's hard at work pushing for new pipelines through Canada and the U.S. to carry yet more oil out of Alberta's tar sands, which is one of the greatest climate disasters on the planet. Last month, speaking at a Houston petroleum industry gathering, I'm sure he flew their coach on his own dime. I'm sure they didn't fly him in some private jet and just probably had sex with a bunch of yoga teachers or whatever. He got a standing ovation from the oilmen for saying no country would find 173 billion barrels of oil in the ground and just leave them there. Oh, this is why it's like, this is worse. Trump is just a greedy, fuck regulation, fuck the planet. I just want money. At least I know what Trump is. There's nothing, he's not hiding anything. I don't give a shit. I mean, his tax returns or whatever, but if you just look at who he is, you look at his cabinet, Trudeau doesn't have any Scott Pruitt type people on his cabinet, but then he says this. And then they're like, let's keep him elected. These oil assholes down in Houston just gave him a bunch of big checks. So here's the issue. The 173 billion barrels is indeed the estimate for recoverable oil in the tar sands. So this author does some math here. If Canada digs up that oil and sells it to people to burn, it will produce, according to the math whizzes at Oil Change International, 30% of carbon necessary to take us past the 1.5 Celsius target that Canada helped set in Paris. So fuck you, man. That's the kind of bullshit, and that's why we all need to pay more attention. And I thank you guys in Canada who are like, easy, Graham, easy, hold on. Just because he does yoga doesn't mean he's cool. I do yoga, but I'm not the oil companies aren't flying me to Houston. To say this, Canada, which represents 1/2 of the 1% of the planet's population, is claiming the right to sell that oil will use up 1/3 of the Earth's remaining carbon budget. Trump is a creep and a danger and unpleasant to look at, but at least he's not a stunning hypocrite. Yeah, great point. McKenna, who I mentioned earlier, the environmental cabinet person under Trudeau, was confronted by Canada's veteran environmentalist, David Suzuki, said tartly, "We have an incredible climate change plan that includes putting a price on carbon pollution, also investing in clean innovation, but we also know we need to get our natural resources to market, and we're doing both, right?" What the fuck kind of... That doesn't make any sense. That's like saying, boy, we got a real drug problem out there and people are dying and they're addicted to drugs and it's awful, but I have a whole warehouse full of crystal meth. What am I supposed to burn it? I can't get rid of it. I mean, look, and we'll use some of the crystal meth money to build schools. Oh, great. Thanks, Trudy. Oh my God. So Canada, according to this article, has got company in this scam. Australian's Malcolm Turnbull is supposed to be more sensitive than his predecessor, a Trump-like blowhard. When he signed on his nation to the Paris Climate Accords, he said, it is clear the agreement was a watershed, a turning point, and the adoption of comprehensive strategy has galvanized the international community and spurred on global action. Which is a fine thing to say. If the Australian government wasn't backing plans for the largest coal mine on the planet. The single mine in a country of 20 million people will produce 362% of the annual carbon emissions that everyone in the Philippines produces in the course of a year. It is obviously mathematically and morally absurd. So Trump is working just as eagerly to please the fossil fuel industry, obviously. I did a video about what Syria is all about, the 2 oil pipelines. It's all about oil. And this is what the fossil fuel industry is doing. And they co-opt these jackasses on the left. And they don't care what they say in a speech. Oh, we got to get rid of oil. As long as they keep the oil flowing and let people give them the drilling rights and the pipeline rights, they don't give a shit. They don't care. So the article ends with this. Trump's insulting the planet, in other words, but at least he's not pretending otherwise. Yeah, and I'm going to say that this is why we need to hold the left even more accountable. The right's very clear on who they are. They're evil and they're greedy and they don't give a shit about anything, but I don't want to hear this bullshit. So fuck Justin Trudeau. I'm sorry I made that first video. That's my fault. But I thank you guys for showing me the light and waking me up and making Gotham great again. And the mainstream media is not going to do this. They're going to show Justin Trudeau, I'm sure Rachel Maddow loves him, right? And that's that thing like the Democratic Party does. We're all about inclusion. And yeah, if Hillary was president, she wouldn't be locking up, there wouldn't be a travel ban for Muslims to come to this country. She'd still be rocketing the shit out of their home countries and creating more terrorists and dead bodies. I'm tired of that fucking hypocrisy. I'm sick of it. So thank you guys. Go to the Patreon link because the mainstream media is not going to say this. It's not going to say this. And The Guardian isn't perfect. They've said some nonsense too. But this article, I'm down with what this article is all about. Go to the Patreon, like and subscribe, share these videos with people, and get some of your friends and family to hopefully wake up and vote. And vote these fake lefties out. Get them out of there. They're liars. Thank you for watching.